Hello, I've got an Electrolux dryer that I have unfortunately taken apart a couple of times. So I didn't have any material online to follow exactly what I wanted to do, so I'm going to make an instructional. We have had a terrible problem with this collecting lint and passing it past the screen and getting into the motor. The first time I went into it, I just cleaned the blower off and it got tons quieter. And then the second time I went in, it had actually damaged the blower so much that it couldn't be removed using the nut, which is what I am going to replace this time. I bought a new fan for it, so I'm going to pull it apart and can replace the fan. First, we're going to unplug it and then take the top off and then take the front off. To take the top off, you just have two screws in the back, the one over there and the matching one over here. Once those are out, just pop it back, take this off. Then to take the front off, you want to start by removing these top two screws, and there's two screws down here on the bottom, right there and on the other side. The other two screws have to come out to pull the front off. Is this one and that one. Once those 6 screws are out, you're ready to lift up slightly on the front and slide it towards you, out a little bit. We'll want to be careful because there are electrical connections that we'll need to unhook before we can go much further. So I'll pop it loose and have it rested on the ground. I got enough slack for that. We've got one right here in the front board that we can lift up on the back tab and slide out. Once that little connection is out, then this other connector on the door comes apart at this connector right here. Just spread those apart and pull it apart. And your door is free. You can set it to the side. The next step is removing this front piece here, because ultimately we're wanting to get to the blower that's behind this piece. So it's all one big unit. Starting back in the back, we need to unplug the sensor that tells it if the water is connected or not, and then disconnect this sensor right here. That one just pulls apart, and then you'll want to pop out the little holder from this as well. I reach around from the back and pinch the two prongs together. Once you pinch those together, it just comes right out. Then I went back, I unplugged this, I popped out this one, I loosened these prongs, popped out that one, same with this one, and then I'm ready to come back up here to the front. I don't think I actually have to take this one apart. We're going to leave that one together, and then take out these 4 screws. This one, the lower one, same thing on this side. Now they're all out, and this front panel actually holds the drum in with the bearings. And so when we take out, there's 2 more screws right here. We take out all these screws, we're going to lift it out, the drum will actually sag, but that's okay. It's held sufficiently by the back, it won't flop out in front of you. Pull those last 2 out. So now I'm going to start on this side again. You see that side came out. Lift these tabs from the control panel out and lift up on this side. And then once you get both sides unhooked from the side, you can just lift that off of there. And without unhooking anything else, just kind of set it to the side. Try not to get any tension on any of your wires, so we got nice slack here. So now, mine actually broke. There's a tab on this that should be on mine. So before I'll put a reminder in, take out this screw to save this tab before you take yours off, or else you'll break it off like mine did. Fortunately, it works fine without doing that. So to remove the belt, you need to come down here. It's on the tensioner up here, and then down around the shaft of the motor. So to take it off, you need to pull against the tensioner. and get some slack, and then you can pop the belt off. It's not very tight, so you just pull some slack, pop it off like that. So our belt's loose. Now make sure it's free, and then you can just lift the whole drum out. You can grab it by the belt, or you can grab it by the drum. And my blower fan was stripped so bad I had to drill out on both sides of the plastic nut so I could put vice grips on the metal insert, and then I could spin it off like that. So I missed videoing pulling out the fan from the old fan because I ran into a big problem with the bushing being stripped out of the fan. I just showed that, but the way you pull this fan out is you stick your socket on. It's an 1 1/8" socket. Stick it on there, and then grab a hold of the shaft somewhere with your vice grips or with your channel locks. I grabbed it back here in the back, right behind the pulley. I can take it on and off like that. When mine was stripped out so badly, I wound up having to pull the motor out, and I put the pulley in a vise on the outside, and had to drill out the. I showed you how I had to drill out the bushing to get my vice grips on that. So, but the way you should be able to do it is just grab the shaft right here and use your socket. So this is a right hand thread socket. So if you watch, it's gonna be righty loosey. Spin that off. And that's loose. I'm gonna pull these screws out. And you would already have this one out already. Oh, and there's a foot down here on the bottom. That's how it comes out. So installation is the opposite of disassembly. We will lefty tidy it on. And just grab that shaft again with the channel locks or the vice grips and snug it up. And if you can't get good grip on the shaft, you can grab the pulley on the OD. Just make sure you don't get down the track where the belt runs. That's it. So then the belt tensioner sits like this, and the spring on the pulley sits like that, and it's a little bit of a balancing act until we set the drum back in and route the belt, but the belt will just sit on top of the tensioner and around the bottom of the pulley. Now I set the drum back in on the back channel with the rollers, and we're going to spin this front end and set the drum on top of those two rollers. And then put in the 4 screws right here, here, and the opposite one. And then put in this last screw down here that holds your flange. from the front piece that holds that down tight against the blower. Then we snap in this bit, this one, that one, then plug in the water sensor. Then we will plug in down here into the front frame to hold that still again. That plugs in right here. Then the last two screws to hold the front on are these last two here. Make sure the tabs are clicked into the spots. So we'll put the front back on. It just has the 4 tabs on the sides that slide in. And the connector up here on the top. This one's really small, so make sure you line it up right. And once it's close, make sure it's seated. I've had issues with it not seating all the way before. And then we're going to set the front onto the frame. And then put in the screws on the top and bottom. And the last thing is putting the top back on. The only thing you want to know with that is you got to slide it in. So set it back a little bit, get it in the grooves, and slide it forward. And then you put your 2 screws in the back.